Welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the Almighty B-Live, the Money Man, Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Kool. And without any further ado, here they are, the Sports Bros.
Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy, Eddy Kool, a.k.a. the HOC. And guess what? This is episode number 68 of your favorite podcast, also known as the Sports Bros Podcast. Well, we're going to go ahead and get it started because guess what? The Almighty B-Live, he had to do that thing called work this week because Scottie D predicted as he usually does. And, 8 times out of 10, Scottie D is right. So, guess who is here? The one, the only, the Money Man, Scottie D.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Baseball is here, Eddy Kool. Are you excited?
Man, I'm excited, man, because like I told you, I was going through the channels the other day, and we had a group text going on, and you guys were talking about you were watching the Buccos, a.k.a. the Pirates. And the Almighty B-Live said he was watching, I don't know, but he said he was watching baseball too. So I was like, well, let me get my act together. And what do you know? We got the Mets, the Yankees playing real life baseball, like live baseball. Like this ain't no replay of the Subway series of that many years ago. Yep. It's just they're playing real live baseball. So what do you take away from this whole thing? Because, this is instead of this being spring training, this is the summer camp exhibitions. So as far as the adjustments and no people in the stands and the pump crowd noise, what are your takeaways from it so far?
I think once it gets down to it, these guys, I don't think any of that stuff's going to matter once it's game time. These guys are accustomed to tuning out the crowds and the crowd noise and stuff like that for the most part. I don't think any of that's going to really matter. When it's time to actually play ball, they're going to be I think it's just going to be normal stuff to them once it's actually game time. Now, there's obviously going to be a couple different things going on. As you noticed, probably there's some of the guys are going to be wearing masks. I saw Josh Bell, the Pirates. He was playing first base. He had one around his neck, and when somebody got on first, he pulled it up. So there will be a couple little differences of that sort of thing going on. I mean, it's got to feel kind of strange to be playing a spring training game in July in a stadium rather than, in the spring in Florida. But I think once the season officially starts and they start getting into a little bit of a groove, I think it's going to feel normal to them. I think it'll start to feel a little bit normal to us, other than the fact that it's about to be August and everybody's in it. We're just getting started. So there's, it's not going to be your typical pennant races where you've, all through the hardcore times of the summer, the dog days of summer, you gutted it out to be in the position. I mean, we're starting the dog days of summer, so that's going to be different. I actually thought it was kind of cool seeing how New York did it, putting the faces in the crowd. I think they did that in Korea, didn't they?
I think they did, and I think they may have had like a small smattering of like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool, though.
Yep, it is, man. We're used to watching baseball with, we've been watching baseball for a while, and we see the people, think about, at the camera angle, or the hard cameras they call it in wrestling business. We see the camera angle as where the people are behind home plate facing the camera. And, now it's like, okay, well, you can't have any large gatherings. So it's shout out to the new, was it the Mets, right?
Yeah, they were. Yep.
Yeah, shout out to the Mets for like just giving us some sense of normalcy as far as like putting fat heads there and like, hey, there's people there. So,
it was fun. It was, that's something baseball often gets accused of not doing, is having enough fun. That was fun. To put and I forget how they went about doing that. They had, I don't know if you had to pay to have them in there, or there was some kind of contest. I forget how they went about it. Forgive me for just being a fan and not a baseball expert, but it was, I actually thought it added to it. I'd like to see all the stadiums go to that kind of thing. The crowd noise, kind of corny to me. I don't know that that's something that they'll continue to do once the regular season starts. I know that the players I heard from a few of them say but this is about a week ago before they actually had played these games, saying because it's not authentic, they weren't crazy about it. They didn't think the fans would like it. Watching it on TV, to me, it just seemed like regular background noise like any other time. So it didn't really distract me or add anything for it. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I don't know if they're gonna do that as it goes on, but that didn't matter to me. What mattered was actually seeing the game being played, and that was kind of nice. Although, like I mentioned to you before we came on there, I'm already sick of the Pirates, and I watched one game of it. It's usual in Pittsburgh.
As things change, things stay the same. And opening night, if you will, is July 23rd at 7:08 on ESPN. We got Scottie D's Yankees versus the reigning defending World Series champions, Washington Nationals. Scottie D, man, I had to I think I checked out that game between the Mets and the Yankees for a little bit, and I saw some highlights. They played somebody else. I'm like, your Yankees look good, Scott. Your Yankees look pretty damn good.
Yeah, they do. The Yanks have to have all those sluggers slugging, and they added Garrett Cole to their pitching staff. So they a lot of people are picking them to be the one that's coming out of the American League. I think I'm going to go with that too, because I do root for the Yankees. The Pirates are my favorite team, but I do have a special place in my heart for the Yankees. I've always liked the Yankees. It's going to be interesting on a short season, though. How, if it only takes like a guy like Judge or Giancarlo Stanton to get a major injury this year, where that normally would keep you out 30 days, 60 days. That's basically your season now. If something like that happens. Matter of fact, Domingo Germán was their winningest pitcher last year. He got suspended and has 63 games remaining on that suspension. So essentially now down to a 60-game season, he's missing the entire year. So that takes a whole pitcher off their roster. Obviously, like I said, they added Garrett Cole, and so their pitching should be still pretty deep, I believe. But and then you got like a lot of people are picking the Rays. The Rays were man, their pitching staff is going to be the strength of their team. They're young. They added some help for against left-handed pitching. Charlie Morton, Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell. I mean, that's three deep. That's usually what you need, is three good, solid starters, like really good starters to win in the postseason. And then the A's are always in there. They've won 97 games the last 2 years, so they're still on. The Angels could be an interesting team to watch this year, Eddie, because they added a Rendon. They took the big key piece of the Nationals World Series team, adding him with Trout, Pujols, and Shohei Ohtani. And it's just I think the Angels have a question in pitching. So I'm going to go with the Yankees, and everyone's picking the Dodgers, and I'm not going to go against that, because Dodgers, it sooner or later it's got to be their year. They're thumping every year out there. They're in the postseason every year. Last year the Nats knocked them off when we weren't expecting that. At least I was not. So I'm going to go with Dodgers again. Dodgers and Yankees, like everyone else. Not a crazy out there pick, but that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I'm with you, Scotty D. As far as like representing that American League, I'm gonna have to vote the Yankees too, man, because the Yankees look strong, and as long as that pitching can hold up and the big sluggers can stay healthy, the Yankees will be just fine. The Rays will probably be nipping at the heels. I feel bad for Toronto because the country of Canada said, you're not playing no baseball games here in Toronto or in Canada. So now they got to find another home, and we're like, what, a handful of days away from the first game of the regular season, and pretty much Baltimore and the Red Sox will be struggling to clean up in the division. As you said, man, Oakland looks pretty good too.
I'm sorry, actually they're talking about the Blue Jays potentially sharing PNC Park with the Pirates. That's on the table right now. They're not one to play in Florida because of they have a spring training site there, but with the COVID-19 being so rampant in Florida, they're not wanting to do that. And I guess that their AAA affiliate, I think it is in Buffalo, it's not built, I guess, for the lights aren't built for night games to up to major league standards. So they may end up be playing games in Pittsburgh, possibly. I know Detroit was a possibility too, but they better figure it out, because game on this weekend.
Yeah, man. I mean, something has happened. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's very, coronavirus has screwed everything up for everybody. It has screwed everything up for everybody to postponing of seasons. We had some more college athletic conferences. Hey, we're not doing nothing during the fall as well, too. And then, for the Blue Jays to be literally displaced because Canada said, nah, we're not going to risk it, which is smart of them. But then again, like, okay, you got a baseball team and we have the bird got to find a new nest, man. the bird got to find a new nest.
Yeah, and there is the Pirates get some guys that are in the front office that have a connection to the Blue Jays, that they were there with them in the past, and the city of Pittsburgh, I think, would be open to that. It would give more businesses some more opportunities to financially to have another Major League Baseball team in town during this pandemic, along with whoever would be visiting the Blue Jays. I'm sure they'd have some work to do on the schedules and all that stuff because that's already been made. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll get done. It may be kind of a thing where they might play some home games in Pittsburgh, some in Detroit. So who knows? We'll find out. That's the situation that's still unfolding.
Yep. As far as my predictions for who was winning the AL, I would have to roll with the Yankees. And Scottie D, I'm going to have to do it too, man. The Dodgers, man, because they made that addition of Mookie Betts and, David Price. He opted not to play. And so either way, man, those Dodgers look strong, man. They look strong. I mean, like the next team that'll probably be nipping at their heels is the Arizona Diamondbacks. But I don't think they pose no threat, to be honest with you.
And we can't forget about the Nationals. I mean, they lost Anthony Rendon. I mean, they won the World Series after losing Bryce Harper, who was supposed to be their star player. I think Zimmerman's also not playing because of the virus, but
yep.
They get Soto and some pitching, so they're going to be right in the mix of everything too. I'm not writing the Nationals off just yet. The Astros are the team that they're going to be another interesting one to watch because A, they lost Garrett Cole. B, Verlander is got another ring around the tree, and they're not going to be allowed to cheat anymore. So we'll have to see how the Astros fare. See if they start slipping back to the pack here this season.
I'll tell you what, out of all the teams of baseball that have benefited from this abbreviated season, it has to be it got to be the Astros, man. Just imagine if it was just business as usual, 162 games.
Oh.
What would we be talking about? We would be leading up the show with them getting hit up again, like over under averages and everything. It's just
and the crushing them,
huh?
And the fans would just be crushing them. So this is actually ideal year for this to happen for them, considering they're coming off of that whole mess. That they won't have as much hell to pay with the fans in the stands since they won't be there this year.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just crazy. So I'm looking here, and it says, let's see, we're talking about wild card winners and losers. Let's see, and who you think gonna get the wild card in the AL, Scottie D?
I'm not sure how they're even formatting it this year. There's going to be extra teams getting in. Am I right about that?
Let's see. I think I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure. But
I thought they were expanding the playoff format for this year because of the short season.
Yep, I believe they were. And let's see. I'm looking here. Let's see. Somebody picked Cleveland and somebody picked Minnesota, but I think Minnesota win their division. I wouldn't even wild card them. I think they'll just win their division. And
well, and a team again, I briefly touched on, but the Oakland A's are a team that's there all the time, and they're constantly under the radar because they don't have a bunch of big names. They got as Marcus Semien is a heck of a ball player. They had a catcher named Sean Murphy, that was out last year, injured for a while, but Billy Bean's always wheeling and dealing and just putting pieces together. They had Chris Davis out there whiffing last year, and his batting average plummeted, and I don't think he's going to be much of a factor. I don't even know if he's on that team anymore this year, but Oakland, they're if you're asking me for like kind of a sleeper wild card, I would take them over the Angels just over the fact that the Angels pitching staff is young and had such a high ERA last year. A little bit of a question mark. They're planning on throwing. Actually, the Angels are planning on throwing Shohei Ohtani, I think, every Sunday. He's going to be like on an old school Sunday only pitching schedule this year. So that's going to be something else interesting to watch. So, hey, I'm glad for it. I'm glad to have baseball back.
Yeah, me too. And you took the words right out of my mouth. I was like, I wonder how this whole Shohei Ohtani thing is going to work out. I'm really going to be keeping my eyes, on him. I'm probably not going to be staying up to watching a bunch of Angels games, but it'll be interesting to see, what the two-way player himself, Shohei Ohtani, does. Yeah, I think you'll love him. I think they even got him touted as the third option, the third choice in the American League as the AL MVP. And it's gonna be, but you know what? I'm like you, Scottie D. I don't care. It don't matter. I don't give a damn. I'm just happy to see live sports and baseball being back. I'm just happy about it. Just so happy about it. All right, moving right along, Scottie D. There was a golf tournament this weekend in Dublin, Ohio, the Memorial Tournament, and it was hot, temperature-wise, in Dublin, Ohio. It's been real hot up here in Ohio as of late. And I looked at Tiger Woods at the press conference, and I was like, somebody get this man a towel. Okay, get him a towel and a bottle of Gatorade, some water, something, because he looked like he was about to pass out. Now, Scottie D, I had to work a good majority of the weekend, but 3 names we should opine upon is Bryce DeChambeau and the winner, John Rahm, and Tiger Woods, who finished 4 over and had a score of 76.
Yeah, at this point, would you have been mad at watching golf with these guys wearing shorts? I mean, it's like 95 degrees out there. Golf is still so old school when it comes to that rule of them all having to wear long pants out there. Let them wear shorts, man. I won't. Anyway, yeah,
you're right, Scotty. Let them wear shorts, man, because I'm looking like did you see Tiger Woods at the press conference?
I mean, these guys were beat up out there like that, but they had a weather delay for like 45 minutes. These guys are out there walking in heat for like 6 hours on Sunday, man. It was brutal. They're not riding a cart after their shots like I do when I golf. They also swing a whole lot less than I do, so there's that. But I at least get the rest in the cart and get in the shade and stuff. And these, let them wear shorts. But anyway, I sent you a text over the weekend about Bryce DeChambeau. I think after he won his tournament a few weeks ago, the odds makers made him one of the favorites to win the Masters. And I said I wasn't crazy about that because this dude, at this point, DeChambeau feels like he went from a pretty good golfer to the PGA meathead. I mean, he's huge. He's hitting the ball 400 yards, but then it's like he's having to relearn the game because it's not natural for him to be playing the type of golf he's playing. He added all that weight and he's got to be loving clubbing the ball, like hitting it that far. But then you have something happen that like happened to him on Friday, where he has a wayward tee shot, and instead of just advancing the ball with an iron and trying to play for a 5, a par, save par, taking a 6, take a bogey. He's out there whacking it around like tin cup with a wood. He smacked it into a yard twice and almost did it a third time. What's he doing? He's melting down. He's mad at the official. A few weeks ago he was mad at a photographer. It's like this guy's becoming a circus out there, and I like him, but at some point he's got to reel it in, find his game, get focused, and not just be the guy who everyone wants to watch drive. But at this point, don't you kind of think he's starting to become one of the most interesting guys out there? I mean, he didn't play the weekend, but here we are talking about what he did on that par 5. He got a 10.
A whole 10. I mean, it's the classic case of if you do just enough to draw the attention, you're going to get talked about. I mean, just like you said, he went all 10 cup, mad at the ref, mad at the officials, and just hacking away at stuff. And golf is a thinking man's game, okay? I need to get the ball from here to here. How can I advance the ball from one spot to another spot with the less amount of shots? If he out there just hacksaw Jim Duggan and knocking everything from pillar to post and with a bad golf shot like Charles Barkley, dude, come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
He's definitely actually become compelling TV. But as kind of has by design, if you notice in the earlier golf tournaments that came out this year, a lot of these tournaments were won with guys that were scoring 19, 20, 21 under par. This weekend, it wasn't that way. The golf course was set up to be more difficult. And I think we talked about it a little bit a few weeks back about how the PGA was, getting these guys reacclimated to playing tournament golf again, and wanting to see him be able to score a little bit more. Well, Jack Nicklaus didn't set up his golf course that way. So the weekend was a little bit tougher, and lack of rain just made that course really difficult to play. And DeChambeau wasn't able to take advantage of being able to drive it as far as he was because he didn't get to play the weekend. But we have a new number one, and that is Jon Rahm. Man, he scratched and clawed on Sunday afternoon, especially on the back nine. He really got into a rut on the back nine. We were talking about that. It resulted in a 2-stroke penalty. Now, I have to believe this is something that happens often on the PGA Tour, where a ball can shift or move when a player addresses it and them not see it. I don't truly believe Jon Rahm knew that the ball had moved at all because he played it and he dropped it. I mean, it wasn't. We saw it on TV, and nobody, not like the whole country sitting around going, "Oh wow, did you see that ball move?" It took a really close-up shot to see this ball just barely shift. Imagine had Ryan Palmer lost that tournament on Sunday by 1 stroke, and then Rahm walks off the course thinking he's victorious and ends up losing by a stroke. That would have been crazy. I'm glad that didn't happen because that shot that Rahm made, I think it was the 13th hole or 14th hole, outstanding. It was amazing. And that saved his round because at that point he was starting to drop back a little bit, and Palmer had surged, and it was still like a 4-stroke lead. But at that point, if he would have, it could have got a little bit more interesting at that point. But good for Jon Rahm. I mean, he got it out a very, very difficult weekend, the rain delays and all that stuff, and it was his tournament. It was good to see Jason Day play well. I like seeing him back in the mix, and we'll see if this was good for Tigers. I mean, he barely made the cut. He's still the guy that everybody wants to see, everyone talks about, even though he was well out of contention. But let's see if at least getting the competitive rounds in will help Tiger going forward into the upcoming majors.
Yeah, because like you said, it's always good to see Tiger Woods, and shout out to Jon Rahm for I didn't see the ball move. When the reporter asked me you understand that the ball moved and such, he was like, I didn't see the ball move. I didn't touch the ball. I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, deny. I didn't touch it. I didn't move it. Leave me alone, woman. Get out my face on the microphone. I done told 6 feet. Give me 6 feet.
Yeah.
Give me 6 feet. You're doing too much. And you ain't got a mask on. I did not touch that ball. Leave me alone. But,
yeah, at that point, he'd already been congratulated by Jack. I mean, that would have been tragic if that would have been if that had turned that score around and it would have cost him the tournament and the number 1 ranking. That would have been crazy. But what's cool though, man? Jack Nicklaus being out there, he's 80. Seemed like a young 80 to me, but isn't there just something about Jack Nicklaus that just feels like comforting just to have him around, just to see him there, man? He's still legitimately the number 1 golfer of all time, and he's so gracious to these guys, and he's there, he's involved, he's actually got the course being dug up and redone as we speak. Nice to see Jack Nicklaus. He like I said, he just feels like he's just always been there, and to see him still doing well at 80. And if he actually announced during the tournament, during the weather delay, that him and his wife had both contracted the coronavirus back in the spring, in March and April. And man, it's good to know that he's doing okay. They beat that, and they're hanging in there.
Yeah, it's good to see him pull through that, man. I mean, it's the Golden Bear. It's like, okay, man, Jack's here. Let's go talk to him and everything. He's warm and inviting because a lot of times,
yeah,
Because like a lot of times older former athletes, they're kind of guarded and close to the guard. Like, look, I think the only way to advance any sport, any profession, any game is get the current generation to talk to the past generation, so that way they can just exchange some things and everybody can learn something from everybody, man. It's all about that's how life should be in general, like you. And the thing about it is, you can't have all this information and then die, and then when you die, you can't really pass it on to nobody because you kept it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to
Yeah.
talk to people, man. Get it. Like, you can't have every damn thing. Some of
Yeah.
it, but it's good to bestow the knowledge and wisdom to, to guys like John Rahm and everything. And I'm pretty sure Jack told him, like, hey man, if you're gonna move that ball, do it this way. Do it. Give them tips and tricks of the trade. Come on now, hey man, you talk to some older guys, man. They teach some things. They'll teach some things. But yeah, man, it's exciting to see golf here once again. And what's the next tournament, Scottie D? Next up on the PGA Tour is the 3M Open, and it kicks off on Thursday. And speaking of kicking off, NBA not too far away, but there's been some comments made about LeBron James winning the MVP. It's between him and Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. Scottie D's Lakers, your coach, Frank Vogel, he made some comments, and he said, nobody impacts more winning than LeBron James. I do believe that he should be the MVP this year. I believe that he should be the MVP, and Anthony Davis should be the Defensive Player of the Year. I hope these awards go to both players. So, Scottie D, as we saw, Giannis pretty much just set a high standard during the regular season before everything stopped, because he came through and just dominated and just destroyed everybody. And then LeBron James, towards the playoff push, he started turning up as he usually does, and does what the king does, and just ball all out. So between the two, Scottie D, who's going to win this year's MVP in the NBA?
Well, the winner is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
LeBron James is kind of like right now the same way Michael Jordan was. Michael Jordan legitimately should have been the MVP every year that he played, but every once in a while it just becomes somebody else's turn. Like Karl Malone got a turn in there, and David Robinson got a turn. Well, Elijah one, I think, took a turn whenever Jordan was out. Maybe Robinson did too, but Barkley was MVP a year. Magic was MVP. Jordan was the best player in the NBA when all that was going on. And that's kind of how LeBron has been. I think a few years ago they gave Russell Westbrook a turn, and then James Harden took a turn. But Giannis it's his turn, but it's not undeserved. I mean, he's pretty much put Milwaukee on his back and made them a legitimate title contender. Without him, the Bucks aren't even in the conversation. You could probably say the same thing with the Lakers. Without LeBron, they would still have a good team. Anthony Davis, if he's going to be the defensive player of the year, the all defensive player, obviously then, LeBron's not a one-man gang on that team. I just think that the award is going to go to Giannis this year. If you give it to LeBron, it's not a wrong call. I think either one of them is deserving of the award. But I just think that this is going to be the year that it's going to be Giannis's turn.
So we have a repeat back-to-back of Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I would see why. I would have to agree with you. It would be normally I would have an opposing opinion, but I mean, think about it. He's averaged 29 points a game, 13 rebounds, 5.8 assists a game. I mean, this guy's on fire. Just like you said, man, he pretty much has the team on his back. And hey, look, I saw him live, and he's the real deal. And I'm like, okay, this is the MVP. This is him. This is why he's highly touted the way he is. I heard a take by Kendrick Perkins on First Take this morning. As they were having this debate, and LeBron is, LeBron, he's the most valuable player. But as of right now, Giannis is the MDP, the most dominant player, because at 6'11", 242 pounds, I mean, he has a well-rounded game, and seeing that coming down the court, man, that's real hard to stop him. I mean, he's a force. He's a force. That's one thing you can't deny, man. Giannis is a force.
Yeah, but again, it's almost like I know Giannis will be getting it back-to-back years, but it's almost like LeBron, in the same way Michael Jordan was, is almost like the standard is so high that he's playing against himself when it comes to this discussion. It's almost like background noise. Yeah, LeBron's the best player in the game. Now, who's going to be MVP this year? And that's kind of how I felt like it was with Jordan for a while there. Jordan didn't win it every year, but did we ever really think that Barkley was a better player than Jordan? Do we think Karl Malone was? We didn't. I mean, they just weren't. It's just one of those things that, again, Michael Jordan was competing against himself for the MVP award. So if he was slightly down a little bit, and LeBron, if he's this year not quite who he used to be, then that'll work against him. Although, it wouldn't shock me because we talked about this before. He had a little bit of extra time to rest his body before coming into this season. And he was a runaway train at the beginning of the season this past year. I think having not played in the playoffs and being hurt last year gave his body time to heal up, gave his legs a little bit more strength. And that could work for him again here now, coming into this little abbreviated, finish of the season and postseason that's coming up. But I think I believe that the votes will go to Giannis. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think other votes will go to Giannis too. Even though LeBron James is he's averaged 25 points a game, 7.9 rebounds, and leads the league in assists at 10.6 per game. It's hard to not. This is year number 17 for King James, but Giannis is he's that guy. He's that guy, man. Giannis Antetokounmpo is just that guy. So, yeah, I think we'll get Giannis at MVP. Scottie D, speaking of football, this wasn't originally planned in our lineup, but speaking of football, training camp is supposed to start. It may or it may not start due to the disagreement that the players and the owners are having. I heard what's the report? They want one preseason game, then somebody else wants no preseason game, hopping straight into the season. Scottie D, it sounds like a mess. What do you think?
I think that's it. It's a mess. It's like all of a sudden the season's here. I remember when we were so excited when they had the draft, and back in April, and we're talking about when the season comes around, they're going to be ready to go. They're planning on having the season. Well, I mean, we're now. It's time. It's time to start working on these training camp situations, and I don't know that the NFL is fully prepared for it as far as the safety protocols. Now, I saw Adam Schefter. He was on the Four Letter Network earlier. He was reporting that a lot of this stuff has been talked about behind the scenes. It has not snuck up on the NFL. They have been working on it without just hearing a lot about it. But the players now they're staring it in the face, and the numbers of COVID-19 are rising everywhere you turn. So they're starting to be concerned about it. I know even DeMarcus Lawrence of the Cowboys said he's not sure if he's even going to go to training camp right now because his wife is expecting and he doesn't want to pull the virus towards his family. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys that are feeling that way. There's a lot more players in the NFL than there are in the NBA and in Major League Baseball. There's a lot more people involved. So I don't know, man. I'm still skeptical about them getting this season started on time. I think there's a better chance for them, obviously, in college. And we talked at length last week about college probably able to pull off their season. But it sounds to me like the NFL has a lot of figuring out to do. And, I hope they do. I mean, I'd love to. Obviously, we love football. We want it to come off. What did we say earlier? They had just agreed on daily testing to start camp. Is that
yes?
The NFL?
Yes.
That's the first step. That's the first step. So here's to hoping they get it figured out and we get a season going because the Cowboys are probably not going to lose this year and win the Super Bowl. So I sure would hate to miss out on that because of a virus.
Oh man, here we go. Where's B Live when I need him? All right, so here it is. There's dozens of NFL stars that took to social media. One specifically, Russell Wilson. He said, "I'm concerned. My wife is pregnant, and the NFL training camp is about to start, and there's still no clear plan on player health and family safety. We want to play football, but we also want to protect our loved ones. That's the biggest issue, man. They just want to protect people. And, J.J. Watt said, once again, in the interest of keeping everyone, players, and the fans as informed as possible, here's an updated list of what we know as players and don't know as the first group gets set to report to training camp tomorrow. Because, matter of fact, I think today, which is Monday, we record on Monday, air on Tuesday, Kansas City and Houston. I think the rookies are reporting to training camp there. So,
yeah, they play the first game, so they get a few extra days, or they get an earlier start on the training camp.
Yeah, Malcolm Jenkins, he also tweeted, he said, it blows my mind that the NFL is unwilling to follow the recommendations of their own experts regarding player health and safety. If we want to have a full season this year, we need the NFL to listen to their experts. You know what? I might be running. We'll get to the next segment. We're running on here. Scottie D, I see why you say that Roger Goodell is a knucklehead. I get it now, because I'm looking at the difference in commissioners between Adam Silver, who I think really is on the pulse of his players, versus Roger Goodell, where it's always punch and counterpunch with him. There's no secret that him and DeMaurice Smith of the Players Association, that's a right relationship that those two have. A lot of back and forth, and fighting is just and I know I'm not the only one that feels this way about Roger Goodell. Like, why does Roger Goodell seem hard to get through versus Adam Silver in the NBA?
Yeah, he does seem that way. It's because he's got all this power that was given to him, and you're right, though. Adam Silver definitely seems like he more wants to be in tune with his players. Goodell wants to rule his players, and then he wants to act all fun on virtual draft night. And I told you back then I didn't buy it. I ain't buying it now. I don't like him. Don't like the guy.
Yeah, man. I tell you, man, he was eating his candy, but I'm still mad. I don't know what kind of whiskey he drinks. I need to know what he's drinking. That Macallan 25, he's doing something, but he ain't sipping on it hard enough, because obviously we're at a point now to where it's like, all right, man, like, here it is, training. This is the meat and potatoes of the off season, where we do the training camps and the OTAs. And think about, the NFL hasn't really had like a true off season. It's been an abbreviated off season. It's just, well, you guys stay home and work out to the best of your ability. Unless you're Tom Brady, who was like, look, I'm going to go to a football stadium, bring some teammates with me, and we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. So, yeah, Scottie D, I see why you say Roger Goodell is a knucklehead. And he just, I don't know, man. I don't know. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, well, he's a knucklehead. He's going to get a great knuckle sandwich if they don't get this thing figured out. So,
Roger Goodell,
man, they're like you said, they're down to. I mean, it's showtime. They're gonna have to figure it out, and so, I'm sure they'll get something worked out. But man, it's their backs up against the wall now, because it's time for training camp, man. Time to go to work.
Yep, and everybody's talking about it. And Roger Goodell, you can get 5 of these across your lip if you don't get it together. Yeah, so that's it for that little impromptu NFL talk. And moving right along, we're going to skate right along into, guess what, Scottie D? Our favorite section of the show, the Choices of the Voices. And in typical Choices of the Voices fashion, Ayo Button, hit it!
And now, our favorite part of the show, the Choices of the Voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite part of the show. You heard the woman, 68 episodes in, and guess what? This is our favorite part of the show. The favorite part of the show that we live for. We live for it so much. I bet Scottie D posed a question. I can't wait. I'm impatient, but I hold it together. This is the Choices of the Voices segment of the show, where we ask you questions and you give us the answers, and we talk about it, pick at you, and then tell you our answers as well too. So, Scottie D, enough of me rambling. What's the question for this week's Choices of the Voices?
I asked, who was the best athlete you have ever seen compete live and in person, not just on the tube? Best athlete you've ever seen with your own eyes. And we had quite a few responses this week.
Yeah, man, we got a good turnout, man. Turnout started kind of slow, but hey, everybody came through. They came through. We're going to go ahead and start with Uncle Max. When I was 12, my parents sent me to see my uncle and aunt in San Diego. They took me to see the San Diego Pirates at the time, and they played the Giants, where I saw Willie Mays and Willie McCovey play. and Gaylord Perry was on the mound pitching. Wow, so he saw a whole lot of baseball royalty with McCovey and Willie Mays and Gaylord Perry.
Yeah, I for sure thought Uncle Max was going to say Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth. Scottie D, you're a trip. Leslie,
yeah. Thanks, Uncle Max.
We appreciate you as always, Uncle Max. Even though they called you old as dirt, we love you, baby. We love you. We love you. We love you. Leslie Cox, she said Russell Westbrook. She saw Russell Westbrook play.
So she's a Thunder fan.
Yep, those are some good Thunder years, man. Good Thunder years. You know what? I can't wait to see that 30 for 30 about that team not capitalizing on a divine opportunity. It's like we see that a lot more, a lot more often than not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Mike Davis was going on, man. He said, I saw Vince Carter on the Raptors play the Cavs. Poetry in motion. Vince Carter went on to have a 20-year career and played 500,000 games, correct?
Yeah, 500,000, I believe.
Yep, 500,000 games. Amy Woodworth, she said she saw Tiger Woods golf. She also saw Eli Manning, his senior year at Ole Miss, and Rod Brindamore of the Carolina Hurricanes. Oh, okay. So she got to see some pretty good players play, man. Tiger Woods, Eli Manning, and Rod Brindamore of the Carolina Hurricanes. Oh, she also said Sam Kendrick, USA pole vaulting champion. So she got to see some pro athletes and an Olympian. How many people can say that?
Oh, she's watching some sports there. That's awesome. That's getting out to some games right there. That's going to the events.
Yeah, Amy, thank you very much. Paul Bluss said marvelous. Marv Thornberry. Signed my baseball I caught at the Richmond Braves Toledo Mud Hens game back in 1987. Marvelous Marv Thornberry.
Yeah, but I vetoed that answer. I don't know if you followed, but I texted him back because I know him. And I said, didn't you see Roberto Clemente play? He said, yeah, I guess I didn't think enough about the answer. So his answer is Roberto Clemente.
Okay, Paul Bluss, Roberto Clemente. Yes. I'm sorry, that overrides marvelous Marv Thornberry. I'm pretty sure he was.
What the hell that is? I'm making him say Roberto Clemente because he did see him play.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that marvelous Marv, with a name like that, is a hell of a player, but he ain't no Roberto Clemente. I'll tell you that much.
So his answer. This is very rare that I will veto an answer, but I vetoed that one and I replaced it with a better one. But it's a legit answer. So there you go. Thanks, P-Man.
I think that's the first time in the history of the Choices of the Voices section where anybody vetoed an answer. Yep, 68 episodes, baby, making history. A famous 68, Jaromir Jagr, Scottie D's Pittsburgh Penguins. See, when you listen, you learn, and you learn, you listen. All right, Scott Kaler said, I raced with both Ricky Carmichael and Travis Pastrana. He raced with both of them. Interesting. And he said he played a few pickup games with Alexei Kovalev, too. Hockey player, in case y'all don't know. So, yeah, Ricky Carmichael, Travis Pastrana, and played some pickup games with Alexei Kovalev. Wow, that's interesting. Very, very interesting.
All right.
Yep. Didn't Kovalev wind up playing for your Penguins, too?
I believe he did. I believe so.
Damn, he played for everybody, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yep. Corey Logren, he said Miles Bridges versus Blake Griffin was a battle of two athletes. Okay, that's another good one, too. Trey Dizzle, what's going on? Trey Duke said, well, I got to see Aikman, Emmett, Irvin, Dion, and Brett Favre in NFL games, and Kobe Bryant at the Beach Ball Classic in Myrtle Beach before he went to the NBA. So I can't choose between any of these guys. It's a six-way tie. Had I witnessed the greatness of Tony Romo in person, there would be no tie.
And there you have it.
Trey Dizzle coming through with the foolishness, baby. We wouldn't have it any other way. Noah Haramia, he posted a picture of LeBron James, and he was like, what, 3 rows back from what the picture looked like?
Yeah, he must have had great seats that night to see LeBron.
Noah, holla at your boy, man, when the season come back on, man. We can get some seats and go see some games, man. Go see some games. Even though he don't play for the Cavs no more, it's still nice to go to a game and enjoy. And, of course, we saved the best for last. The one, the only, Martin Tracy. So here we go. I'm going to summarize this to the best of my ability. I'm going to give this answer and then summarize the rest of them. He said, the number one athlete I ever saw live, also the number one football game I ever saw was Virginia Tech at Boston College. Hands down, Mike Vick. This game was crazy good. Mike Vick was a man among children. You couldn't help but notice how freakishly quicker and faster he was than everyone else on the field. He ran for over 200 yards and had 3 rushing touchdowns. One of those touchdowns was an 80-yard run where the last defender between him and the goal line was juked so hard the defender did a pirouette as Mike whips past him to the end zone. So his answer was Mike Vick. Yeah, college Mike Vick was exciting.
Oh my goodness, he was a man among boys.
Yeah, and this is like before he went to the NFL, because I would stay home Saturday night, man. What you doing? I'm finna watch Mike Vick. Who the hell's Mike Vick? This guy played Virginia Tech. Where the hell's Virginia Tech? In Virginia, dummy. But it was well worth the watch, man. He put Virginia Tech on the map.
He did.
Yep. Also, he had some honorable mentions we'll go through real fast. Chris Chelios of the NHL, he played a very, very long time from 84 to 2010. His honorable mentions list also include Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, and Clyde Drexler. He all saw them play as well, too. And baseball, Ricky Henderson and Ken Griffey Jr. He wanted us to help him to decide, but we decided for you, and we're going to roll with Michael Vick. But thank you as well for your honorable mention list, too. And with that being said, shout out goes to Uncle Max, Leslie Mike, Amy Paul, Scott, Corey, Trey Dizzle, and Matty Ice, Martin Tracy for their contributions to this week's Choices of the Voices. All right, since Be Live in here, Scottie D, who did you see live and in Technicolor?
I saw a couple that I started thinking about. My list is pretty good. You know, Ricky Henderson, I actually was always a big fan of. He's the greatest leadoff hitter in baseball history, and that's not even up for debate. Nope. I didn't get to see him until right before I moved to Myrtle Beach because he was always in the American League and didn't come to Pittsburgh, and that was really my best opportunity to see anyone. But in Pittsburgh, I did manage to see Tony Gwynn, Pete Rose, Willie Stargell, all very, very high among the list of all-time best baseball players. But as I said last week, Barry Bonds is, to me, the greatest baseball player of all time. He's up there. I saw Sidney Crosby, Mario Lemieux both play, both top 10 NHL players. I saw Emmitt Smith, the NFL's all-time leading rusher. But I narrowed my list down to 2, one of which is Tiger Woods. I saw him twice. Unfortunately, neither time he was in contention, and one time his back was bothering him so bad he withdrew halfway through the day. A lot of people aren't going to say golfers or athletes, but for our purposes here, I'm going to say, Tiger's the number 2 greatest golfer of all time, and Kobe Bryant's number 2 basketball player of all time. And I saw Kobe play as well. It irks me that I did not make it a point to get to see Michael Jordan when I was in college. I should have at some point said I have to be in the same place as Michael Jordan and watch this guy play, but I didn't. So being a Laker fan, when Kobe started playing, I had to make sure that I saw him with my own 2 eyes. And man, I am so glad that I did, especially considering, we lost him earlier this year. But I consider Kobe to be the second greatest basketball player of all time behind Jordan. So I'm going to go with a tie there, Tiger and Kobe, as my greatest athletes I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes, live and in person. How about you, Eddy Kool? Who's the best you ever saw?
Oh, man, I've been to a few games and I've seen several athletes. And I got
the Hefty Lefty?
That Hefty Lefty? No, I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him live in person. R.I.P. Jared Lorenzen. Let's see. I've seen Cam Newton play a grand total of 3 times, and Cam is just amazing. At that time, with what he did, he was even at the top of his game yet, but he was still, doing things and making things happen. But I did see him that season that they did go to the Super Bowl, and I was quite impressed. And let's see, I've seen him. Oh, I saw Julio Jones. Oh, you want to talk about like an athlete of athletic proportions? Like, I saw him go up for a jump ball and just like yank it out of a defender's hands, and I was like, that's Julio damn Jones. During this episode of the Sports Bros podcast, we experienced a little bit of technical difficulties when I was telling everyone who my athlete of choice was, who's the best athlete I've ever seen, and my answer is the current MVP of the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. just think, a man of that size to have that much skill and that much ability to play the game of basketball is uncanny. He's a one-of-a-kind talent. Now, I saw him back in January when I made a trip to Milwaukee, and I must say, I really did get my money's worth. That was the first time I ever went to an NBA basketball game. And just to see him do what he does on TV is one thing, but to see him in person is totally different. Like I said, you got a guy 6'11" with a jump shot, nice handles. He can dribble the ball. Giannis is really and truly a man among boys. And with that being said, Scottie D, what's the question for next week's Choices of the Voices?
All right, so next week we're going to turn our sights back to the NFL. I kind of picked a version of this question up off of, I can't remember if it was the Four Letter Network or FS1, one of them the other day we're talking, and I just kind of decided to bite this one a little bit, different version of it. What NFL quarterback has the most to prove in this 2020 season? Of these three veterans, Cam Newton, who's one of the best you've ever seen, Aaron Rodgers, whose team drafted a quarterback in this past draft, a rookie quarterback, or Tom Brady, who is now no longer under the watchful eye of Bill Belichick. Which of those quarterbacks has more to prove in 2020? Cam, Rodgers, or Brady?
Oh, that's going to be a good... I got a feeling that might be another one of our best of all time in the Choices of the Voices section. And with that being said, that wraps it up for another edition of the Choices of the Voices section of our Sports Bros podcast show. Scottie D, guess what? It's time to go home. But before we go, we got a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style. Kind of, sort of, not really. But you got the 2-man weave here between myself and Scottie D. I will continue my history lessons in this day in history. And Scottie D, you know, he does what he usually does. And I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1989, Mike Tyson knocks out Carl Williams in 1 minute, yes, in 33 seconds to win the heavyweight titles. You know, they got like 1,000 of them. He won the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the lineal heavyweight championships. What is lineal, like an interim or halfway or not all the way or 2/3 champ? Like, come on, either you're the champ or you're not. Like, what's going on? You should unify all the damn belts. But yeah, Mike Tyson knocked him out 1 minute and 33 seconds. Would not want to fight that dude now. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right. Speaking of quarterbacks with something to prove, I'm hearing a lot of criticism on the Cowboys because of Dak Prescott not getting the deal done. You know what? They made him a really good offer. Am I wrong on this? Did the Cowboys not offer him money that would have made him like one of the top 5 quarterbacks paid in the NFL? Mahomes took a deal for 10 years. The Cowboys offered Dak one for 5. He wanted 4. All right. Well, you know what? He's playing on the franchise tag. He's getting paid well, and he's getting paid too well for a guy who went 8-8 last year. He went 1-6 against playoff teams and 0-9 in game-winning drives last year. That's my take on Dak Prescott. Dak, you got a lot to prove this year to me. Over to you, Eddy Kool.
Scottie D said, don't worry about everybody else, but to me, I'm the one that you got to prove it to. Oh, man, this day in history back in 1973, hammering Hank Aaron of the Atlanta Braves hits Ken Brett's fastball for his 700th career home run. Hammering Hank, still slugging, still hitting. The hit king does what he does best, is putting ball to bat and watching ball go out the park. Yep, a lot of home runs left Fulton County Stadium. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right, so the 2018 U.S. Open in Shinnecock Hills, Phil Mickelson gave us one of the greatest moments in sports history when his putt rolled past the cup. He chased it down and smacked it right back up the hill. Phil Mickelson was absolutely disgusted that day with how that course was playing. Well, this past Sunday, Mickelson was out of contention and from 78 yards out, putted. That's right, he putted the ball down the hill. He then ended up chipping on and making par. Then on what is considered to be the toughest scoring hole on the PGA Tour this year, the 16th hole, par 3, Phil lays up. Now, Phil went on to say that he wasn't trying to throw any attitude towards the course or make any kind of statement. He was just trying to play some angles. He actually said that in 8 straight attempts on that par 4, he was 9 over par. On that par 3, he was 9 over. So he figured, if I can make a 4, I'm doing better. I don't know, but Phil has the money where he wasn't really worried about climbing the leaderboards and placing. Phil's creativity again. He's putting from 78 feet out. I mean, that's why I love Phil Mickelson, for stuff like that. And again, the 2018 U.S. Open, when he hit a putt that was moving, smacked up the hill, one of the great moments in my life. Over to you, Eddy Kool.
Hey, man, shout out to Lefty. Still out there doing it. Giving us some good stuff to always talk about. Third and final pepper point goes out to the one, the only, number 99 himself, Wayne Gretzky. This day back in 1996, he signs a 2-year deal with the New York Rangers. I'm not mad at that. You know, you got it done in Edmonton. Over in L.A., not as much. Well, didn't go to St. Louis. Nothing going on over here. Might as well go ahead and just finish out the last few years of my career. My buddy, the one, the only, the legendary Mark Messier. Yep, Wayne Gretzky, holder of
the great one,
holder of every single record damn near there is as far as scoring in the NHL. Scottie D, you know what I did a few days ago? I had a chance to watch a good portion of the. I went down a wormhole, the 100th greatest NHL players of all time. I learned a lot.
Number 1.
They didn't have them like in numerical order. They just had like they just had them like there's 100 of them. And, you know, they didn't say if he was the greatest of all time, but, you know, you had him and Gordie Howe and Esposito's and Ted Lindsay, Grant Fuhrer. There's a lot of guys I didn't know about, but I learned a lot. I'm trying to get back in the groove of hockey once again. I learned a lot, but if you ever get a chance, man, watch a few of them. Just don't do like me and just go down a wormhole and watch 60 of them.
Sounds good.
Yep. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right. So this past weekend in the flyweight main event at UFC, Davison Figueiredo destroyed Joseph Benavidez in a rematch from a fight they had, which I believe was back in December. The first of these fights went 2 rounds, and Benavidez won the first round, and then it got an incidental headbutt in the second round, led to a massive gash on his head, and he never recovered from that. This time, he was just completely outclassed. So the UFC rolls on, and we got coming up, I think this Saturday night, we've got Shogun Rua and Najera are fighting, and it's like the battle of the old dudes. And you got Darren Till and Robert Whitaker. Those are some heavy-handed guys fighting in the main event. And then Fabricio Verdum, former heavyweight championship, taking on Alexander Gustafsson. So there's some good fights coming up in UFC. And then we also have next month, we will have what might be the final fight of Daniel Cormier's career when he's taking on Stipe Miocic in their rubber match for the UFC heavyweight championship. I can't wait to see that one, but UFC still rolls on, man. Then now that they've gotten us, they've bridged us back to this weekend, Eddie. I mean, I'm looking forward to watching some real baseball, like not even just preseason games, legit baseball. Then we got NBA right behind it. But UFC and the PJ have really, they've helped put a Band-Aid on this no sports wound for me the last month.
Oh, they have, man. They have. They really have. But Scottie D, before I go any further, we did have a small conversation about the main event at Extreme Rules, the horror show last night.
Oh man. I don't know if any of our listeners are watching wrestling, but this is a bad time to start. I mean, we're crapola right now on WWE. If you're gonna watch wrestling, watch AEW on Wednesday nights. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, Scottie D's favorite tag team, the Lucha Bros. Yeah, Scottie D, what you say in a text a while back? You can watch the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks every week.
Oh, it's like poetry watching those guys. Those guys are like a circus, high flying circus, man. They're outstanding to watch. So, but some of this, we accept as wrestling fans that they're going to insult our intelligence at some point, but now they're taking it to a whole other level. Oh my goodness.
Usually, like you said, when you hit somebody in the back of the head of the shovel, that's attempted murder and they're dead. What is
they're
this?
Fighting in a swamp. They're drowning each other. They're wearing masks in the water. Jeez. Eddie, I'm embarrassed to even admit that I watched it.
It's a whole lot. But Scottie D, the show that I really wanted to see this weekend was Impact Wrestling had a pay-per-view called Slammiversary.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, it was better than what they had. You had a lot of guys that were old WWE guys. They made their debuts or their returns to Impact Wrestling, and might have to have something to watch on Tuesday nights. Who knows? Who knows? And with that,
the Bryce DeChambeau had a 10.
Huh?
A 10. Bryce DeChambeau had a 10. I had a 10 the other day.
A whole 10. I really need to get out to the golf course, man. But the way this heat is set up, man, I don't know. And I'm 273 pounds. I'm a little dude, so I get out there and once that first bead of sweat starts going down, I'll be looking like Tiger was on that interview yesterday. Yeah, man.
PGA, let them wear shorts.
Yeah, let them wear shorts, man. Under Armour. These the technology is in the fabric, so let it happen. That's been another edition of Pepper. Oh, actually, before we go, happy 40th birthday to one Carlston Charles Sabathia, aka CC Sabathia. Happy 40th birthday from Scottie D's Yankees, and his record in the Major League Baseball. He got 251 wins, 161 losses, a 3.74 ERA, and 3,093 career strikeouts. He played for the Indians, the Brewers, and the Yankees, a six-time All-Star, a Cy Young winner in 2007, an ALCS MVP in 2009, and he led the league twice in wins in 2009 and 2010. So happy birthday, CC.
I think he also has the record for most material used to sew one uniform.
His uniform is huge.
huge baggy uniform for a huge dude.
Yeah, that's kind of the old baseball uniforms, like back in like what the late 1800s or the 1900s. It was just like big old shirt. They had a long sleeve undershirt up under there, so they had to be melting. Big old pants, the stirrups, and baseball has come a long way.
Yeah,
it has come a long way. And with that being said, this has been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for listening to us. You can check us out on our multiple Sports Bros Podcast platforms. Like I said last week, I'm beginning to write more sports-related articles, so please check us out, Sports Bros Podcast. .com on WordPress. Just check us out. That's our WordPress. Also, Sports Bros PCast. Yep, that's us too. That's our Twitter account. What else? The Sports Bros on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. Well, we do a lot of majority of our communication level. Check us out there on there as well too. Also, to all of our listeners on Apple Podcasts, do us a favor, give us a 5-star review and 5-star rating, and give us a little review. I don't care if you said it, Eddie told us so, Scottie D's right, B-Live's wrong, R-Roll Lead the Dabo, Pirate Turd Burgers, hashtag do better. Just show us some love. Just let us know that you're listening, because it works with the algorithms, and the more you bust up those ratings, the higher we go up, and the more people can see us. But it's a blessing, Scottie D, to be on as many podcasting platforms as we are.
And go see B Live at 482 North McPherson Church Road. I got brisket, cheese sticks, pizza, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches,
Zima,
they got all that stuff.
Grits.
They got grits, cheese fries. They got all that stuff.
193 bottles of beer on the wall.
B Live's down there counting like 1,000 bottles of beer tonight, so he couldn't be with us today. But if you want to catch me on the front porch in Washington, Pennsylvania, and on Facebook. And thank you, our listeners, for checking us out.
Yep, and catch me on Facebook, Eddy Kool. Also catch me on the Facebook like page of the Sports Bros Podcast. Super Cool 5000 if you do the Snapchats. Cool Season on Instagram, and the real Eddy Kool on Twitter. Yeah, I'm starting to get back on that Twitter thing a little bit, but yeah, just catch me everywhere. And you can catch me in the house trying to beat this heat. Need to get this AC fixed. It's ridiculous. I've never sweated this much in my life, Scottie D. I never knew the heat could make me so damn miserable, but it has, though. Has it rained any over there where you at? Any at all?
It is not raining in Western Pennsylvania at all. We've had like We had 30 minutes of rain last week when I was trying to golf. And then other than that, nothing for like the 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after. So just dying for some rain here. And folks, if you're listening, don't go to Myrtle Beach. The corona is down there. Stay away from Myrtle Beach. Stay home. Stay home. Put a mask on. Stay in.
WrestleMania 2020, brother. It's going to run
smart.
wild on you, and you. So, yeah, stay home, be safe, and wear a mask. Don't fight. And it never rains in Western Pennsylvania. Doom, doom. All right, we getting silly. We finna get up out of here. Anything you want to say before we get up out of here, Scott?
Bryce DeChambeau had a 10. That's all I got to say. And that's it. That's a wrap.
Okay, so Bryce DeChambeau had a 10. Scottie D's Pirates are still doing pirate things.
Yeah.
And I just want some AC in my life. So if y'all want to see me in an icebox or a fan or something, I'll leave my Cash App information. But that's neither here nor there. And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Send some AC money. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast.
It never rains in Western Pennsylvania.
Da-da-doom, da-da-doom. It never rains in Western Pennsylvania. Hopefully Tony don't sue us, but oh well. Y'all take care. Be good.